Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Igwe, your fashion yoga lady. So if this is your first time here, you're very welcome. Do well to subscribe so you can follow up, and for my returning subscribers, thank you so much. So this pattern paper tutorial is just basically to help beginners know that they don't have to waste fabric to learn, and they don't also have to complain that they don't have money to buy fabric. So now to start guys, our brown paper is on fold, and the shoulder I'm working with is 7.5 inches. Then the armhole is 7.5 inches as well. Then I mark 10 inches downwards, which is the bust point, then 13 inches for the under bust, and finally 17 inches, which is the half length. After connecting it, I label it like so: the chest line, bust point, under bust, and then our waistline. Then the next thing I'm doing is to mark the nipple to nipple measurement. That's the bust span, which is 4 inches. I marked it all the way down to the waistline. The bust span is 3 inches, so plus extra half inch, 3.5 inches, sorry, and then half inch for the allowance, which made it 4 inches. Then here I'm marking 1 inch at the under bust and the waistline, and I connected it like so with my ruler. Then make a curve to get to the bust point like so. And then on this other side as well, I marked 1 inch as well, 1 inch, 1 inch, then connected it again, and then still used my curve rule to connect it to the bust point, just like the way I did on the other side. Then after making this curve guys, I went up from the chest line by 2 inches, then I connected it to the other lines that I made. Then after that, I placed my tape and marked 1 inch on both sides, just like so. And the next thing I'm doing here is to connect the 1 inch I made to the bust point. So I'm trying to mark it very well, the 1 inch. I'm marking it properly. Then I'll connect it to the bust point with my ruler, just like I'm doing here. And then after that, I came down from the chest line also by half an inch. From the chest line, I came down by half an inch. Then I'm going to connect it to the 1 inch I made on top. Then from there also, I connected it to the armhole, just like this. Then I'm using my curve rule to make sure the curve I made at the bust point is well curved. The next thing I'm doing now is to impute the body measurements, and the bust I'm working with is 8.75. Then I marked it and added 2 inches allowance. Then on the waistline, the waist is 7 inches, and then here I'm taking the darts that I'm going to cut off. So it's 2 inches. I replaced it here and then marked extra 2 inches for the allowance. Then I connect everything with my ruler. The whole essence of this making a dress with your brown paper is to save cost and then to avoid wasting material as a beginner. And that's to say, even if you make a mistake with the brown paper while trying a new style, it doesn't mean anything because the paper is not that expensive. Then right now for our back part, I've placed my tape and I'm marking the shoulder point, which is 7.5. The under bust is 7.5. Then 10 inches for the bust point, and then 17, which is the half length. And then right now for the bust is 18.5, so 18.75, sorry, 18.75 inches. I'm placing my tape on my bust point and I'm marking the bust measurement. Then the waist is 7 inches, so 7 plus half inch. So I'm going to check what I have on this bust point, the little inch I have left of the bust point. Then I'm going to mark it here so that it will be equal. So from there, I'm going to connect it down. So I'm not making it 2 inches for the allowance. I just checked what I have at that bust point, and then that was what I connected. Then I checked the middle of the armhole. So I made a point there at the center of the armhole and came up from the chest line by 2 inches, and I'm connecting it with the ruler like so. So I want the back part to be a little pointed at the top. And remember, I'm not adding zipper allowance, so I'm just going to cut it like that. I'm not putting zipper allowance because there won't be a zip on this paper. So right now I want to cut this cape part, that's the down part, and the full length of the gown is 45 inches, so minus 17, which was our half point, our half cut. So minus 17, that will give us 28, and that's the full length of the skirt. So I've marked the waist point, and which is 7 inches for the waist, and then I came down by 8 inches, which is the point for the hip point. Then the new length is 18. That's what I just marked now. Then to take the other measurements, I'm going to mark the hip measurements. The hip is 40 divided by 4 will give us 10. Then I'm going to take away 2 inches from the hip to give us the new part, and then I'll mark the same thing at the down part, which is 8 inches. 8 inches for the nail part and 8 inches for the down part. So remember, there is not going to be any zip, so I'm just going to cut exactly what I have on the front part for the back part as well. Right now for the sleeve, I've cut out the sleeve already. So this is the down part, and that is 8.75 inches. So and the width is 4.5 inches. Then the length is 8.75. Then this is the puffy part of the sleeve, is 24 inches by 11 inches. So that's that. Now I'm going to start sewing, and so we're starting with the bust here. So this is how you place it together, and so you put the two together, and then you start sewing from the waistline, as the down part. You can sew with 1/2 inch or a 1/4 inch, whichever you are good at. And then after that, remember, if this were to be a normal fabric, after sewing you notch the lines. After sewing you notch everything so it will relax properly, and then you can top stitch if you want. That's on a normal fabric, you can top stitch on it like so, but we're not doing that here. So after notching, you top stitch. Now I want to sew the other part. And before sewing, if you want to put a cup or use a wording for it, you would have done that before you go ahead and start sewing on the bustier. This is the sleeve now. I'm going to pleat the sleeve. If it were a normal fabric, I would have used an elastic for this, to give us that puffiness on the sleeve. So if it were to be a normal fabric and I'm using elastic, what I would have done is to fold a 1/2 inch, like probably depending on the width of my elastic. That will determine how much of the fabric that you're going to fold, that will be able to accommodate the elastic that you're using, right? So but here I'm just pleating the paper. As you can see, there's a little tear on the sleeve. That is why you have to be careful, extremely careful, when you're using your paper to sew. So when you finish from one side, you repeat the same thing again on the other side. So I'm going to pleat on this other side as well, just like I did on the other side. So what I'm doing here now, the other sleeve part, the down part, I'm attaching it to the one I pleated, right? So I just placed it on top and I stitch it. So this is it. When I'm done, I'll just go ahead and shape it like so, and it will look like this. Okay guys, I am done sewing up like the up and the down parts. So this is it. So what I want to do now is to turn it out, and you know this part is usually the most delicate part, so you got to be careful. So how I'm going to do it, I'm going to start gently like this by pushing the smaller part, that's the upper part, inside like this, very gently. This part right here is like basically where the whole work is. I beat the front part of it, so that is why you've got to be very careful when you're doing this part. The turning out part, always the most delicate part, and you have to be careful. Definitely it got a little bit here, but that's okay. Even at the down part as well. Alright guys, so this is it. So I'll go and attach the sleeve right now and we're done.